Land prices do remain high in spite of increased input costs and interest rates, indicating significant demand for farmland. And while the market does maintain stability, fluctuations in key regions highlight new opportunities and also risks for investors. CEO of National Land Realty, our good friend Ronnie Richardson, to break it all down for us. Ronnie, always a pleasure. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Let's start with these regions that we're seeing these changes. Tell us about this.
Thank you for having us, Suzanne. Always good to be here. And we do keep our finger on the pulse of the real estate market around the country. And, overall nationwide, it looks like prices are up about 5% nationally, which is pretty good considering input cost and commodity prices right now. But some of the outlying areas that we look at, if something is really way out there, we really take a closer look at it. And when you look at something like California, I mean, they're talking about a 27% decrease in farmland prices in California. And that has a combination of interest rates and commodity prices for almonds and walnuts. But what's going to affect that land price as much as anything is going to be taxes and interest rate hikes more than people moving out of the state. It's going to be those factors that affect California farmland.
Ronnie, let me ask you this. With the news that came yesterday, how do you see this really impacting the farmland?
We talked about this yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, we talked about this, and with commodity prices low, we think that the farmland prices are going to remain stable. Even we don't see a big surge in farmland prices because the Feds dropped the rate a half a point, simply because commodity prices are still so low.
So it's going to be a little bit of a balance. Let me ask you this. When we look at those, whether they're buyers, sellers in these specific regions, where you're seeing some of this fluctuation, what does it mean for them?
Well, if you look at Florida, for example, Florida's up 118% in their farmland pricing, but that's transitional prices. So if you have, and they're moving that farmland into development land, hence the huge increase. But if I had land in Florida, I'd probably be thinking about selling it. If I had land in Iowa and Kansas and Nebraska, I would probably just sit tight if I could, because we talked about this at the beginning of this year, that we felt like farmland prices were going to plateau and remain stable, and that's basically what has happened.
So depending on the region really depends on the move you need to make. And for that advice, you're the man to call. How can they find you?
Nationalland.com.
That's always a place to go. Ronnie, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for all this information. Very interesting. CEO of the National Land Realty, Ronnie Richardson.